Oh, man, it's a Monday morning. I had a great night's sleep, even though it was a little short. It's kind of weird. But I'm feeling good this Monday morning for whatever reason. I'm not entirely sure. The weekend, well, till last night. I mean, Sunday morning was good too, but last night, didn't know what to expect. But things went really well. Saturday was almost completely ruined. It was horrible. Barely ate anything for breakfast, and we got caught up doing something that should have only taken 2 or 3 hours max, and it ruined every plan we had for the day. Made Shreya mad at me, which meant I had to be very careful how I responded to that, because, you know, that's just the way that is. So, it's Monday, and I know I've said things along this line before, but don't go into today thinking you know what to expect, because you never do. Last night, I was kind of looking forward more to being able to just sit at home and chill, because Saturday was just a mess and left everybody in a bad mood. And after church Sunday morning, we had to rush to do what we had to do and get back again for a special evening service just for volunteers and staff. And I really felt like I would have rather stayed home. But that was until we got there. And, you know, as usual, if you show up to something with an expectation of I'm going to sit with my arms crossed and I'm only here because I have to be or somebody asked me, you get nothing out of it. You can apply that to work. But we had a Pastor Todd and his wife Angie from Liberty Worship Center in Xenia, and they ended up both with some pretty good words. Some of you may not be churchy, so you're like, it's church, who cares? If that's your attitude, you've probably been to the wrong church. And I'm not a preacher or a teacher, so if I put you off, I'm sorry, but don't worry, you ain't got to listen to me when I'm there. But his wife Angie, what she spoke about just reinforced something that we tend to forget when we're called upon to do all these things that no one seems to take notice of. And again, maybe this isn't just for ministry if you're not involved, but if the things you do are only for the approval of others, if you're looking for a word from somebody else to tell you a good job, you just want to be seen, it's useless. It means nothing. And if you're feeling empty and wore out and dead inside, it's because what you do is essentially out of selfishness, and it's because you're looking for that to make you feel better because somebody else makes you feel like you have worth. Obviously, that's the wrong way to look at things. So for those of us that devote more time than a lot of people would realize to ministry, because anybody who says they're involved in ministry and you see them out a lot, they've got free evenings and weekends, they're lying. As was said last night, you got to be a little bit crazy to devote so much time to something that requires you to be selfless. And we don't always want to do it, don't get me wrong. But it's not about what other people see, what they say. It's about who you're doing it for. And not so much that you're doing it for yourself, but if you're not making yourself reach a higher standard, which would be doing things for God no matter what the task is, you're not going to get anything out of it yourself. You're not going to find value. You're not going to find confidence. When other people don't seem to appreciate it, it's not about that. You were given talents and abilities for exactly where you are, unless you're not listening to the call that's on you. You've been given talents on loan from God. I hear that a lot. Some of you will know where that comes from. You have talent on loan from God. And if you're not using it while you're here, then your life kind of is pointless. Moving beyond that, Pastor Todd himself when he stepped up. Liberty Worship Center in Xenia. After hearing him speak, if you live in Xenia, somewhere nearby, you should probably check out their church. I'd like you to come check out ours in Fairborn, 302 State Street first. But if you don't want to come to ours, check out Liberty Worship Center. That was a good word. Maybe this doesn't apply to all of you that aren't churchy, but he spoke of Obed-Edom, and just having a conversation and somebody bring that up, I wouldn't have recalled where that was coming from, what book, what story. But I'll tell you what, not just in our church body, but in my personal life, in my job, that spoke. And what happened was, and I guess I can't term it the way he did because it won't make sense. He called him a ladder holder. If you're somebody who's unsteady with heights, if you're afraid, if you don't like stepping up on a ladder to reach something, feel like you're going to fall, it's a little shaky, you need somebody to give you confidence. Your ladder holder. There's people who may do that for you at work and in your family. But Obed-Edom essentially said, well, David is afraid of holding on to the blessing that God had for him because of one scary experience, which was somebody touched the ark and they died. So when David was afraid and didn't know what to do, they left it with someone named Obed-Edom for 3 months. And it said over those 3 months, Obed-Edom and his house, probably everything he touched, was blessed. It took Obed-Edom, that's such a funny word to say. David saw what happened with God's blessing that was meant for David. He saw what happened when he gave that up to somebody else and said, all right, I need that back now. I was afraid of what God had for me, but now I see. We live in a world full of crap. And it's a world that says you should be able to do and say and be who you want. And you should be able to have and do and say whatever you want. Unfortunately, that's not how things are supposed to work. You can't live your life completely opposite of mine and expect to have the same outcomes. It don't work. You have the freedom to make that choice. But if you don't want the blessing God has, if your church is a country club church, so to speak, the way he put it, if you're not doing what a church is supposed to do and you're not walking in the blessing and you're not seeking it, we'll take it. If it gives you confidence later, you see what happens, we'll share it with you. We're not going to give it up. But if somebody does not want a blessing, if there's somebody at your work who doesn't appreciate the position they're in, who's going to walk away from that because they think there's something better, maybe they don't want it, take it. Today could be a good day, it could be a good week. And I'm not saying an hour from now you're not going to be like, oh Lord, why am I here today? Why didn't I call in sick? I can't take these people. Ain't about them people. Sometimes you let them say what they say, let them think what they think. Do what you do. I think I heard another pastor talk about that one day. Do what you do and don't worry about nobody else. Pastor Dwayne Grant. Oh man, I set a record, 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Alright, let's end on a high note, in case you're still watching. The ladies won't understand this, but guys, anyone who's still with me, you ever gotten to work like, well, how do I say that? You get dressed in the morning, you're in a hurry. About an hour later, you're at work, you got to go to the restroom, you realize you put your boxers on backwards. It's kind of frustrating. Maybe that hasn't happened to every guy, but I can pretty well guarantee it's happened at least once to most. It don't matter if you're a lady. I hope it don't matter if you're a lady. We get way off topic. Have a good Monday. Stay away from McDonald's.